A long time ago, in a galaxy actually rather close, Ben Magnet had to wake up early so that we could discuss the Andor season finale. Is it the greatest show of the year? And or did we love it? And or did we hate it? Find out today. We are doing our Fake Nerds Watch discussion on the last two episodes of Andor Season 1, Daughter of Ferrix and Rix Road. And I am, of course, Sparks Whitty, and I'm joined by Ryan Eliopoulos.
They say you want a revolution. Well, you know, sometimes you got to throw a brick in some dude's face.
And we're also joined by Brandon T. McClure.
Hello, hi, I'm here as well.
And Ben Magnet, who has awoken, much like the Force itself.
Yeah, I've woken up from my nap.
Nap.
My nap.
Nap.
Nap. Air quotes.
Yeah, Ben, I saw you like one of my tweets at 4 a.m, and I'm like, bro, you got to go to bed. I know you can't wake up early.
Ryan's like, I'm a masochist. I can do it. You can't do it.
I can get 8 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, 30 minutes of sleep, and I will have the same energy. I feel like shit, but like, that's me, baby. I produce.
That's my secret cap. I always feel like shit.
That's my secret cap. I'm always dying. Boy, we're here talking about Andor.
We are.
You said, is it a show we hated? It's spoilers. It's not. I'll tell you.
I was thinking about this when I was watching these last two episodes. I'm shocked at what became probably the two best shows of the year. Because when Peacemaker was coming out, like I like James Gunn a lot. I was just not sure if like Peacemaker would be it. And like, holy shit. And then Andor was like, what is this show going to be? Holy shit.
I've been holding on to Peacemaker all year because I'm like, I don't want to forget that like a lot of great stuff has come out since then. And Peacemaker was incredible. And I was floored by it. And I'm like, been holding on to that. And I'm like, Peacemaker might be the best show of the year. There's a lot of good stuff, but Peacemaker for what it was might be the best show of the year. And then Andor comes out and I'm like, oh no, I don't know.
What a beautiful like nerd bookend.
Yeah.
Like two shows that we didn't expect to be as good as they were. And they both ended up being better than everything else that came out in the year. And they're both nerd shows. Just goes to show, man, you put effort in the shit, like it could turn out pretty good. Look at that.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. Because what Peacemaker and Andor both show is that as long as the passion is there, something truly incredible can come out of it. Doesn't matter what character it is. Like this is Cassian Andor, a character who dies in Rogue One. That people were joking about how they didn't remember his name. Mm-hmm. Peacemaker was kind of a villainous force in the Suicide Squad, who they added a post-credit scene to be like, actually, he didn't die by getting shot in the neck. Don't worry about it. And as long as the passion is there for those characters, something truly remarkable can come from it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Man, I was after that finale, I was like so high on Star Wars. I was like, man, the future is going to be so bright. And been like, and I have to be the thing of like, I know not everything can be in Andor, and I don't want everything to be Andor. I just want everything to have the quality of Andor.
Yes,
that's all I want. I just want like not everything needs to be mature, dramatic. You know, like dealing with fascism. Even though that's what Star Wars is like. I want more Mandalorian stuff, but after Andor, I'm like, why are we doing this for everything that we make? And if you want more attention to detail. I just want more attention to detail. Yeah, like, and I can't believe the best Star Wars thing in years has nothing to do with what people associate with Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Like when like Jedis are the thing nowadays, right? Like people, that's what they go to. Like they're not so people are invested in Rebels and stuff, but like people love Jedi and shit. And to have a show that has none of that, literally none of that, is exceptional. And the fact that Disney, I still can't believe this isn't an HBO or like an AMC show or something. Like this is like a step forward. And again, if we don't ever get anything like Andor ever again, that's fine. Like the fact that they were willing to try this means like this could happen again.
Yes.
And it's just, that's so exciting to feel in a time where we've all been kind of hit or miss with some of the things that Disney's put out.
No, I have to keep reminding myself that I'm watching a Star Wars show while I'm watching Andor. Even especially last night. Like I want to say it was episode 11 when it was 11 or 12. I want to say 11 when the TIE fighters came out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm watching a Star Wars show. Because there's no mention in the Jedi, and I feel like almost every single Star Wars property that we have seen, there's some mention of Jedi. There's some mention of of like lightsabers. There's always something.
I
that
don't
ties it-
think, real quickly, Ben, I don't think there has been a live action show that did not feature a Jedi.
Exactly. I mean, Mandalorian season 1, you can make a case for that, maybe, but we're not going to make a case for that here.
But-
It's got a little Yoda in it that's tied to
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I
it's
think
Star Wars. It's literally tied to Star Wars.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily deal. I mean, you deal with like a very, what's the right term? I don't want to say laissez-faire politics, but you kind of deal with some of the politics. This was like hardcore into the politics, into the workings of the Empire, into the fascism that the Empire does. And it's just like, God damn, I'm watching like the best Star Wars show ever. It's about a no-name character from that one movie.
More to the point, I think, than just saying the live action shows. There's never been a live action Star Wars anything that hasn't featured a lightsaber, hasn't like, and we're saying that, and like there's still a season 2 of Andor. There's time. But
I got so many quotes from Tony Gilroy interviews that I want to talk about.
But this was hours in Star Wars without that, and that doesn't usually happen.
I think someone put up a thing that I kind of understand the sentiment of like, it's really a shame that like the next thing we're gonna get is like the action figure hour, the Jon Favreau's action figure hour, and it's like I understand that. I think the thing is, Mandalorian season 1 was very good, and what I want from the Mandalorian is just a really good show. Yeah. I think the thing that really hurt was having the two hit of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan. Not being Obi-Wan was disappointing in its own right,
Also,
but Boba Fett wasn't very good.
Also,
I think like Mandalorian season 3 is doing the story I'm excited about, which is about the Mandalore stuff with Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Like, that's the stuff I want to see the show do stuff about. What has me not unexcited but a little disheartened going into season 3 is that they totally nipped out the emotional stakes of the finale of season 2 of Mandalorian by doing stuff with them in Book of Boba Fett.
Man.
And I really wish they hadn't done that. I wish they hadn't put them back together in Book of Boba Fett. I think Mando should have shown up in Book of Boba Fett, but Grogu less.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been fine. But go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that, like, I think there's a place for Mandalorian. There is a place for Mandalorian, and what Ryan said was absolutely true. The desire to see more things like Andor isn't the desire to see more hard-hitting political dramas in Star Wars. It's to see that kind of care and passion put into this thing to make a good product. Because I do think Mandalorian season 2, Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan suffered from it's Star Wars, you're going to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas this was we're making a show. We're making a good show.
And let's not, be remiss in forgetting that season 2 had some all-time moments about this kind of stuff in Mandalorian, which is like Bill Burr's former Imperial confronting the man who essentially was responsible for a ton of deaths on the Imperial side. And them talking about like the deaths of the Death Star and how some people really view that as terrorism. And like getting that kind of shade in there is still kind of into the realm of what Andor would give us.
Yeah, Mandalorian, the first episode with what's his name? He's the director. Gosh, Herner Wertzog.
Yeah.
Like that dude's all about like, you think the world's better now that the Empire's gone? Look how shitty the world is. The Empire was the best thing that ever happened. And I'm like, that's some like hardcore thinking, right? And like it is in Mandalorian. And again, I don't want every show to be Andor. I just want them to respect the audience.
That said, Andor is the show I've always wanted to see from Star Wars.
So I that's perfect for what I was going to say, because I love Rebels. I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the show I kind of wanted Rebels to be and knew it wouldn't be because it was animated and more aimed for family entertainment. I'm not going to say at children, but family entertainment. Like,
all ages.
In a very specific way. And I love that show. But whenever we would get like a moment with Mon Mothma or Organa or Leia, like I would be like, okay, but I kind of want to see the show they're on though. Like I wanted how the rebellion formed, and Rebels is like a side pocket of how the rebellion formed. It's helping and it's in line, but it's not the whole picture. It's not the main part of the picture. This is the main part of the picture that I was waiting for, because this is what I've always wanted. Pretty much since they announced Rogue One, I've wanted a story that was like, hey, this is how the rebels started fighting the Empire.
I have a quote here that I want to read, one of many that I'll probably read. This is him talking about how the show, it's very much just about people, and how the next season will lead more into, it will still be Andor, but it will lead more into the Star Wars that we know. He's like, let's see. And we come back a year later after the season. It'll be very different. The next 4 years of story are not about becoming a revolutionary. They're about becoming a leader and how difficult it is to put the alliance together and what happens to people who are the original gangsters versus the establishment. And that's just shit I'm so excited about because, like, again, I don't need any of the Jedi homies to show up, but the next season is like there's so much stuff that happens with Rebels simultaneously with what's happening in Andor right now.
Yes.
And it's really funny seeing like there's the scene where like Andor's in jail. The same time there's like a food fight happening with Zeb and Ezra on the Ghost. And I'm like, man, timelines are really funny. I'm just like, Andor's the type of show where like, we know we live in this world, but we're not beholden to it. But when shit does happen, like this, like the post-credit scene, that is very much a Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
But that's earned. And I feel that the next season is going to be a lot of that. Like, hey, we didn't have lightsabers because it wasn't part of the story. We didn't need it.
I was
so now
this close to.
the rebellion is here. Like it's leading into Rogue One directly.
Yeah.
I was this close to missing that post-credit scene.
Everyone was.
I was this close because that finale had me in just like, what?
Well,
It had these like it wasn't a super shock. Okay. It wasn't a Game of Thrones style ending that had me going, oh my God, almost screaming at the TV. But it was that type of ending where it just had me sit there and just go, it shook me, but it didn't like super shake me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's understated because it ends
like,
with a smile and just a look.
Oh,
but
God,
you know, again, like, man,
Yeah.
Cassian Andor, Diego Luna, that dude acts so hard with just his eyes.
Mhm.
Like he's our main character, but like he's not the character with the most dialogue in the show.
Mhm.
He's often reacting to people.
Mhm.
And the way he's just his eyes, like you just know everything he's feeling with just a look. It's so impressive. And like that is it's very much then you bring up Game of Thrones endings. This is very much the same ending of House of Dragon. That is a look that she gives. Rhaenyra's final moment of the show is her giving a look of war. And that's
You're
very
right.
much what this show is doing too.
You're right. And what my point was is that as the credits were rolling, I was just sitting there. I was just like looking through Twitter, just like trying to process it. And then I hear the droid sound. I look up and I see the actual post-credit scene, and I go, "Oh shit!" It was that oh shit moment of that's what they were making in the prison.
So I don't want to spend too much time on the post-credit scene because it's very quick. But I just want to say quickly that it acts as twofold. One, obviously, we knew that Cassian was working on pieces of the Death Star, and we got to see that in action, and that was a really nice bookend to see that the Cassian was helping build the thing that would eventually kill him. The other thing is it also creates an interesting lead into Rogue One, because one of the first shots of the Death Star of Rogue One is them installing the dish that they're building in the scene. I thought that's really cool.
Yes, I agree. And I think it's to Ryan's point of what you just said as well, that it's earned. And like I would think it was a dumb post-credit scene if we weren't specifically seeing the parts that they were building being installed.
Yeah.
If it were just the Death Stars coming together, I'd be like, I know.
But you see those like leg
But you see
things.
specifically those things, and I'm like, cool, this means something to our character, to the story that we are being given. But it's also great because if you missed it, it's kind of not that important.
Right.
To be honest, like, yes, it's a nice thematic thing to know that that's what he was doing. But like you said, Brandon, you kind of figure already. If you didn't see it, it's not a huge deal. And it's not a huge deal if you go into season 2 with missing it, which I think is great. I think it's exactly the right kind of post credits for this, where it's like, it's not really teasing you up for something you weren't already prepared for. It's just giving you a little thematic, like, and that's how he contributed to the construction of the Death Star. But what I think is so wonderful is because those things are layered onto each other, right? Because now we know for sure, visually, Andor helped build the thing that kills him. Also, he dies on the mission that helps kill the Death Star. So, like, those two things
Poetry and
work
rhymes.
in complete tandem with each other. It's one of those things where it benefits very much from the fact, like, that we already know Rogue One and we already know where Andor's story ends. But it shows exactly how this is something that's so wonderful about Andor, is that we know Cassian dies. We know when he dies and where. I still think there's wonderful tension in the show.
Oh yeah.
That there's so much great storytelling in the show. There's so much to learn and uncover. It is absolutely the antithesis of people who say, like, you can't tell a good story with a character who you know how they die. It's saying, yes, you can. Absolutely. That is what is happening here. Not only that, you can foreshadow how these events led to that momentous occasion of their passing. Andor's a great show.
Go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say in response to Sparks saying that it's like people say, "Oh, you can't tell a good story about a character you know what's going to happen to." Andor goes, "Hold my beer and watch."
Well, it's kind of like Titanic thing, right? Like, we all know that the Titanic sinks. At the end of the Titanic, if it doesn't sink, then it's a science fiction movie. But if you're telling a story set on the Titanic, it's gonna end with it sinking, and it's kind of like how do you tell the story to make that interesting? And Andor is very much in the same vein.
I mean, to a much lesser extent, like that's what the prequels are. We know who Darth Vader is.
Yes.
We know where he ends up.
Yes.
I mean, it's obviously a much less scale because there's so much we don't know. But like it's very much like I've never like felt negative about prequels, but Andor really is the one like that's like, man, anything like really just anything could be good as long as it's good.
Right.
As long as there's quality behind it, like anything can be worthy.
And speaking to the same idea, like on that other side of the coin, because I do want to highlight it because it is an important part of the season that I love. We know where Mon Mothma ends up. We know what she's
dirty
doing.
rags.
We know what she's doing. We know where she goes. We don't know how the fallout with her family happens. We don't know how she ends up parting from Coruscant. That is super interesting.
Yeah.
That whole family dynamic is so rife.
We see so I was thinking about this in the Mon Mothma scene in the limo, when the guy's listening in on their talking about the gambling, her husband's gambling.
Yes.
I was thinking about this in Rebels. We know when Mon Mothma leaves the Senate because they make a big show of it, and Mon Mothma's like, I can no longer do da. She leaves the Senate before it's disbanded. Tony Gilroy was talking about this a little while ago, saying that like when we were bringing up the show, the story group or whoever, the person who runs the story is like, what do I need to know about Mon Mothma for the show? All you need to know is that where she's from, Chandrila, and that she leaves the Senate at this time. Outside of that, you can do whatever you want, and he does.
Oh God, sorry if you're not done. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, and he does, and he goes through it all, and he creates this interesting story where we're seeing another side of Mon Mothma. Because what's kind of fun about Mon Mothma is that we had so little information about her. She was just kind of the stoic rebel leader in all three appearances that we saw her in: Rebels, Rogue One, and Return of the Jedi. And seeing how she becomes that character is so fascinating because they've added this whole layer of she had a family. Her daughter is hardcore into old Chandrilan beliefs and ready to like be with the Empire. And maybe her husband is abusive, mentally abusive, not like physically abusive, but like this mentally abusive gambling addict who's like actively ruining her life.
Is he?
Well, right. Yes, I know. It's like kind of like these layers upon layers upon layers of seeing how Mon Mothma first starts with this character who wants to do this the right way, wants to do this by the Senate, and starting to realize she can't. And we're going to see that turn where she's eventually going to be like, the Senate is useless. We cannot do anything in the Senate.
Well, has already started, right? It's just kind of now it's just kind of a waiting game. Like she knows in her deep recesses of her mind, she knows this ends with her having to leave the Senate.
Yes.
Like everything once she started making the plans with Luthen, the writing was on the wall that eventually she was going to have to leave.
Yeah.
Especially like that's why, going back to earlier in the season, that's why the moment when she finds out about Aldani.
Aldani.
Thank you. When she finds out about Aldani and she comes and she confronts him because
it's on
real.
now.
It's
on now.
It's real now.
Yeah. I got a great quote. Why did you decide to make Mon Mothma rich? Because we know that she was a senator, but we didn't know that she comes from like mega wealth, right? Chandrila, her home planet is super upscale. I got legacy material that we built on. The planet actually appears in Rebels and novels, which I don't remember from Rebels. But Genevieve is so genteel, and it just naturally seemed to flow like that. You know that she's living the secret, and seeing someone lose all that for the thing that she loves is really important. Like losing all that money, because like money, she has money, but it's not super important to her, right? Like she's throwing it away for the rebellion. Like it's not what her life is based on.
Right.
But it is when you think of Mon Mothma in like the original trilogy, she's just wearing rags. She's just like a raggedy old like Southern leader, it feels like.
Yes.
And you wouldn't realize that she comes from like one of the wealthiest planets in the system. Like you wouldn't realize that she was like a multimillionaire at one point in her life.
Yeah.
And that is so fun to see. You have people who are on the ground level who are poor, and you have people upstairs who are super rich, and they're both trying to fight the Empire however they can.
When she's talking to her cousin Vel, right?
Mhm.
Vel. In Daughter of Ferrix, episode 11. And we're hearing the chant, the daughter chanting in the background, this kind of code of honor or whatever it is. And you see like the horror and the fear in her face and Mon Mothma's face. And what's so great about Genevieve O'Reilly is what she's doing in her face in this episode says so much, because she puts on a mask all the time, and she can't in this scene. And it's really, even when her daughter comes out and Vel puts on her mask, and you look at Mon, she's still looking at her daughter kind of with this horror of like the acts that she's going to have to do. What does she say to Vel? She says, I think I'm in real trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And she can't keep it together in that scene. And that was such a powerful moment to see from that character. Genevieve O'Reilly is incredible in this in the show, but in this episode specifically.
That scene,
Oh no, you're good.
Sorry, just real quick, because I don't want to get too far from what Ryan was saying, just about her being wealthy and all that. Like, what I think is, so valuable about that angle for Mon Mothma is that the reality is lower class can stand up and fight for what's right and everything as much as they want to, but the only way real lasting change comes is if either they're able to get into positions of power, or if they change the hearts and minds of people who already are and who are at the top. And Mon Mothma is a representation of that person who has maybe not changed necessarily, because we don't know what her morals were beforehand. They were probably pretty good, but who already is endeared, and on the her heart and mind is with the people. You need those people in those positions for something to actually seismically change. It would not be able to launch into what it is. It wouldn't have happened this quickly, right? Yeah. Post Revenge of the Sith, without someone in her position. It would have taken much longer for them to build the force that they needed.
So I'm going to bring up some deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith that Andor actually makes me actively dislike that they're deleted. There's some, and obviously deleted scenes not canon. I'm not saying that they are. I wish that they were included in Revenge of the Sith. In hindsight, there are many scenes that were taken out of Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma and other senators talking about how the chancellor at the time, Chancellor Palpatine, was accumulating a ton of power, trying to figure, and they're sitting like, okay, we got to do something about this guy, because if we do, we're losing the Republic. And then post the Empire, I've now made this an Empire. They're like, okay, we need to. We'll remain in the Senate. They make a pact, like, we agree, we'll remain in the Senate, but we will help. We will try to fight this as much as we can. And I'm so glad. First of all, I'm so glad that Genevieve O'Reilly was able to reprise her role as Mon Mothma from those deleted scenes. Yeah. But I'm really sad that George Lucas didn't have the foresight to keep those scenes in there, because they would inform Andor in such an interesting way. It's kind of a bummer that they never made it into that movie.
That is true, Brandon. But like those deleted scenes being there, just like that just confirms that is exactly what she did. She did fight. This is what she's doing. Like we don't need to see it to know that like she is fighting the rebellion. It would have been nice to have that like A to B, but this show proves that like that's what she's been doing. Like she is fighting the fight.
Ben, you wanted to say something a little bit ago. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. I was going to say the scene with Vel and Mon Mothma when she's seeing the daughter, and the sheer look of horror on Vel's face. I'm like, ooh, religious persecution. All right. Yeah, because you can tell that. Because I mean, even in the scene prior, in like a few episodes, in like an episode or two prior, when Vel is having dinner with Mon and her family. And I want to say her husband mentions Vel finding a husband, even though she is all up with Cinta.
And Mon gives him a look like you have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like the look on the daughter's face when she's there, when they're doing like the religious chant, and Mon's just sitting there like, I hate this, and I'm like, oh man, this is juicy. This is juicy shit.
And what. There are people reading into this, and I like the read because it makes it more sad. What's the Lita? I think that's her name. The kid Lita.
Lita, I believe. Yeah.
Lita, she might be doing all this to try to connect with her parents because that's what she thinks she needs to do. She needs to be more Chandrillan to have a real connection. And that's why I didn't catch this, but the Midnight Boys, the greatest podcast about shit that's not ours. They mention when the doors open and Davos and her son and stuff, who does Lita look at? She doesn't look at her dad, she looks at her mom. And I'm like, God damn it, man. That's
That's a really interesting parallel because we know that Mon Mothma hates the religions, and so does her husband. Honestly, her husband doesn't like the old religions either.
Yeah.
And like having that not be communicated to their daughter, so her daughter having to think that like this is the only way I can connect with my family. Oh, this is a good show, guys.
Yeah, Perrin, because like Mon says, like Perrin just doesn't give a shit. Like do whatever you want. Like I'm just not into it. Which is just as bad as like not paying attention to what your kid's into. But like Perrin not caring, and then Mon like I don't know how much she stated to her daughter how much she hates. I don't remember from throughout the show if she stated to her specifically she hates Chandrillan tradition. I don't think she has to her. So to Lita, this is a custom. This is normal. This is what my parents did. I'm going to do what my parents did to try to make them happy, even though I'm a grumpy teenager. And that just adds more levels of like, man, Mon's throwing her whole family away. Oh my God, it's so sad.
Right.
And she's throwing Perrin on the bus, who might not be the best guy. But that whole scene in the taxi cab, she's doing a double cross. And she's like, you're stealing money from us. And he's like, I'm a shithole, but I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
I was just about to mention that. I was just about to ask you guys if you think Mon Mothma's gaslighting Perrin into saying that.
She knows her driver's listening.
Because that's like whatchamacallit, that's like a good backup plan in case the Empire looks as like, hey, you lost $400,000. Him.
Yeah. That's exactly why the driver goes to talk to Blevin, the Imperial guy. Like, I heard Mon Mothma's talking about like gambling shit. He's like, you need to make sure this is true because we're really interested in Mon Mothma. And if it's just as gambling shit, then that's gonna really throw up our plans. Yeah. So like, so beautiful.
We are interested in the fact that Mon Mothma might be involved.
Yeah.
Oh, gambling?
Nah, it's boring.
She didn't seem the type for rebellion anyway. I get it.
Yeah. It's so juicy. And again, like, this is like the first instance of Mon Mothma having to do the dirty work too. Like she has to get dirty and throw her family under the bus to not only save herself but save the rebellion. It's tragic. What these people like. Again, Luthen, it's all about sacrifice. Like, what have you sacrificed? Like, everyone has to sacrifice literally everything to see the sunset for everyone else. I'm like, damn, that's a good show. Yeah.
Although to be honest, I like Tamor and Linda's second take here on screen. I'm like, how come you're not married to Monte? I'm sure
she got married at 15.
I do like Tay.
Chandrillan tradition. Yeah,
I know.
I do like Tay.
Tay's cool. God, there was someone else, and I'm trying to think about episode 11. Oh, the opening scene of episode 11.
Oh, with Beeman.
The opening scene when they're on the cliff. Mm-hmm. No, not when the mom passes away, but when they're on the cliff.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, when they're on the cliff, and that the other guy, Moshi, I don't know the other. What?
Melshi.
Thank you. Like Melshi is talking, he's like, yeah, we can't feel his hands, and then Cassian's like, I hear you, and he's like, no, he's like, no, I hear you, and then he's like, tell me they're leaving. They're leaving. We're gonna get out of here, and I'm just like, that's like the kind of I don't know why.
The dialogue in this show is very smartly written. I do love the aliens that they run into in the jumper. They are so funny. I really enjoyed those two.
They're Narkeans or Narkinians or whatever. Yeah. There is. I actually got a quote that I'll read later. But like Tony Gurley was not interested. Very much the reason the Pixar conversation we have, like when you have so many different characters in a world and you have to create the world around them, like with aliens with different body parts. He was not interested in overcomplicating the story. And by adding crazy aliens to him, which is just trying to tell a story of people, it added a lot of things. But going to a native world where you see the people there, they also hate the Empire. They're willing to give prisoners a ride somewhere with how much they hate the Empire. It's just like, man, that's such good world building. Like, yo, homies, no matter who you are, homies hate the Empire. I love it.
But that's the thing that I really like about Andor that I was really bummed about when it came to like Book of Boba Fett. People, I don't mean to throw another show under the bus. I really don't. It just came up naturally. The people, I think, rightly complained about like, maybe this was actually Obi-Wan. One of the shows set on Tatooine. I hate that I had to say that sentence. Said that like the population of the area was very human. there's not a lot of aliens in these places, but if you remember the first time we see Tatooine, there's tons of aliens. There are more aliens than there are humans. And then the I would think it was Obi-Wan, how there's only humans in that one settlement that we see in Obi-Wan. And
that's Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan has like pretty much only people.
Yeah, and what I liked about Andor was that what Andor shows us is an incredibly alive-looking galaxy. Every planet we visit, outside of the ones that are outside of the prison planet, very alive. There's a lot of people, and not just people, but aliens too. And I really love seeing that.
I think people are, like in the background shots, there's plenty of aliens, but I think just people want more like, we have animated shows and like big movies where there's like, CGI and like, I get that. So Tony Gilroy said, I understand that there's some people that feel that they've been shaded slightly with the amount of aliens that aren't in the show, but that's the main reason is complexity. It adds a level of complexity and it adds a level of political complexity that we're not going there, but look, we're leading literally into Rogue One. It's coming up, I promise.
I appreciate that there's at least like one alien dude in episode 12 amongst the riots. He's mostly red, but like clearly meant to be alien. Like he's basically a dude painted red, but he's clearly meant to be alien. And I'm like, hey, look, there's at least one.
He came from the Guardians.
Come on now. Come on,
you guys. If we don't see Admiral Raddus in the next season, I might be upset.
Oh yeah, no, dude. Tony Gilroy knows what's up. He knows what's up. He got to make. Not that he's not making season. He got to make his season 1 where he just got to make the political drama he wanted to make. Now he gets to make the Star Wars political drama because like he's saying he leads directly into Rogue One. Stuff from Rogue One will be in the next season. There's gonna be multiple time jumps per 3 episodes. Like we're about to get the Star Wars Andor show for real.
I really love this show. I think the show is incredible. I have no doubt in my mind that they can deliver an incredible second season that covers 4 years of time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I am really bummed after watching these 2 episodes that we aren't getting 5 seasons of this show. And I know why they didn't. I know why they didn't do that. Actors didn't want to make that commitment. Maybe Tony Gilroy didn't even want to make that commitment. I do remember that Diego Luna said something about not wanting to make a 5-season commitment. I wish we could get at least another season out of the show because I want more. I just want more. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing to be in a place of like, I just want more. I want more of this. Give me more of this.
I'm in the same boat where I'm like, I also wish there was at least like 3 seasons because I want to like still spend more time fleshing out Luthen. I want to still spend more time meeting all these characters and spending time with them because I really loved this season and I loved the pace of it. And I also, like you, and I'm sure the rest of us, trust entirely that the second season is going to be top notch and I'm not going to have a problem with it. Mm-hmm. I'm only going to wish that I got more.
I didn't take a picture of it, but I remember him saying like the original plan was 5. And when we got into the writing and production of season 1, it was just unfeasible. This would take, with the amount of time we're putting into every season, 5 seasons would take 10 years. And he's like, it's not a commitment I want to do. Mm-hmm. So he told Disney, I can do this in 2 seasons. Give me 24 episodes. Instead of 6 episodes, 9 episodes, give me 12 each. I will make you the show that you wanted for 5 seasons. And honestly, I agree. I would watch the show for the rest of my life if
right.
I would watch Andor 24, where it's just a day in the life of so there's 24 seasons. I would watch that shit for real. But there is something to be said of like, sometimes you don't need to stretch stuff out no matter how bad you want it. And I would so much rather get what we're getting than this is gonna sound like I would rather get 2 incredible seasons of Andor than 5 really, really, really good seasons of Andor. And yes. I think that's where we were gonna hit. And like he just didn't want to stretch.
I still kind of dream of like I think the sweet spot number could have been 3.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried. I'm not nervous. No. And the important thing is like someone can still tell a story about the rebellion somewhere in here. Maybe they shouldn't if they're not Tony Gilroy, but somebody could, right? Someone can fill in a space amongst the time jumps that happen in the next season. There can be another story about people that aren't Andor, or like people that are Luthen, or people that are Mon Mothma, or even Val and Syntha. Like another story can be told, or Karn and Deirdre.
Yeah, like my pipe dream is like again, like we all love Rebels here. Ben, you should watch Rebels one day. It's really good. Like I don't expect Andor season 2 to be Rebels centric, but I can see a world where in a couple of years we get a Rebels, like almost like not a holiday special, but a Rebels like episode of like, here's what they were doing during Andor. And we have the live action cast. So here's just an hour fun special of like, here's what was happening during the end of season 1 and they hear about it. That's how they get involved in season 2 or something like all that is possible still, I think. Yeah.
my God, the Rebels crew meets Luthen.
I would lose my mind. No, Luthen shows up in
some
animated
adventure.
form. That's what's gonna happen next. Make him himself.
Yeah, I just kind of look at this like I in Tony Gilroy I trust. Like you want to take your time, you want to tell whatever show you want to tell, do it. Like I will be there. I will be there day one to watch Andor season 2. Like no question. And I'm watching all these things, and I'm watching all these like plot threads that they're setting up, like giving the Ferrix people with the ship, I'll find you. Sending off B2 with Bix and the other guy, I forgot the other guy, setting up Karn and Deidre and Luthen and Andor and all that. And I'm looking at that. I'm looking at all that. I'm like, oh, here's the thing. I have because of the. So this is kind of the give and take of the kind of continuous stream of content that we're getting from streaming services and things like that. There is always something to occupy my mind. And I've gotten very comfortable with the fact of like, I no longer feel like the way I did as a kid, where when a season ends of something, I'm ripping my skin out can't wait for the next season of this, because nowadays, I don't have to. I have Mandalorian next. I have the next Marvel thing next. I have this next. I have that next. I have always something that I can occupy my time, something I like, coming up very soon. Andor, when Andor ended, I felt the way I did as a kid of I need the second season. I know we're not getting it soon, but I am ripping out my skin eager for that second season. And that's such a really great place to be in, because I haven't felt that way in a long time.
Yeah. They just started filming season 2. So mid 2024, hopefully.
Take your time. Like I said, I'm excited. I understand. Yeah. I'm very excited, but like, take your time. Like I have no doubt that the second season will be just as good, if not better, than the season. You don't want to take that time? Don't mind me. I'll be there. I'll be there.
Do you think there's any chance? This is prompted by nothing. I was just thinking about. Do you think there's any chance they decide? Probably not, because they changed the distributor, the head of like deciding how these things happened at Disney Plus. Like this guy got fired in the post Chapek era. But do you think that there's any chance that what they decide to do, because it is like arcs by time jump, is that they drop one time? And then a few months later, new time jump, different points. So it becomes like the second season becomes event viewing.
No, because they've already said it's basically the same structure as season 1. It's going to be. I mean, I that is bold. Like releasing them on basically like little movies. I would be cool with that, but I don't think they're going to do that. That'd be a cool idea though.
I wonder, because like it's definitely a way to generate a lot of like in the moment buzz. I think after now that season 1 is out, I don't think they'll do that, because by the time season 2 will come out, it'll have all its fans. Right.
And they don't need to do that. They don't need eyes on season 2 right by then, I don't think. That's a cool idea, but like there's no.
No, yeah. It's not prompted by nothing. I was just thinking like
that'd be cool though, like little movies. Yeah. I mean, that's what they did with ABC and Freeform. Like they dropped them like, hey, here's the first 3 episodes. Hope you like it.
It's essentially like dropping Brandon will appreciate this. It's like dropping Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life, right?
Yeah, sure.
Individual pieces, like 1 throughout the year, 4 throughout the year.
Tony Gilroy did say that was a big inspiration for him, actually.
So maybe who knows?
He loves Laurel.
He loves Gilmore Girls.
That'd be really funny if that were true.
No, but it'd be. I could see it, but I'm not. There's no precedence to think that that's what they'll do. That would be interesting if that's the way they decide to go about it.
We Ben, like 40 minutes ago, that's an exaggeration, brought up the beginning of episode 11, and I want to go back to that because B2 emo, man, like every new droid that comes up, like you're like my favorite droid. Oh, you're my favorite droid. Like Chopper's still my favorite droid because he's a psychotic monster. But B2 emo is like the opposite. He's like a little Eeyore. He's the
sweetest boy.
Oh my God. When he was like, I don't want to leave. I want Marva. I'm like, you're breaking my heart, little man. You kidding me? You kidding me?
I did not think a droid could literally break my heart. Because you see droids, I see droids in Star Wars. I see them as machines. I do have, of course, sentimental and emotional attachments to droids like C3PO.
C3PO is not sentient to you enough?
Ben, how racist
Just like
of
the
you,
Empire.
Ben.
Like Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's
Early
true.
years Obi-Wan.
Early years
So
Obi-Wan.
when L3 was causing that rebellion on Kessel, you were like, what are they complaining
The
about? They're
miners,
just
they're
machines.
miners.
They're just machines. Poor L3. L3 died, Ben.
I know
Actually,
L3 died.
transferred into the Millennium Falcon.
Ben,
L3 is the Millennium Falcon, Ben.
That is actually a fun point to bring up, because the thing that I love about Andor is everyone on Ferrix treats droids like people.
Mhm.
B2 might as well be a person or like a dog, right? Like he is part of a family. It doesn't matter that he's a droid or a dog or whatever. He's part of the family, and they treat him like one. And I think that is so special, because Ben, you are right. Like in a lot of the other shows, like they don't treat droids like people. They are kind of like either comic relief or tools. And there are certain shows. I think that the animated shows do a pretty good job. Certain relationships, yeah,
like Anakin and R2.
Yeah, like I think like Clone Wars, Rebels, like they really go into like like they're
Poe and BB-8.
Exactly, yeah. Like I think when done right, like man, they're little people.
And
it
is laying the groundwork of why Andor would be quickly endeared to K2SO.
Yeah.
I think that's also really quick, Ben, because like again, this is such a juicy topic that you stumbled on, and I want to keep in it for a minute. But like the idea of like the droids being treated as second-class citizens has always been in Star Wars. Droids being treated as things and not people has always been in Star Wars from A New Hope, and when they weren't allowed into the bar. You know, the idea that, and so like new Star Wars has kind of looked into that, but no Star Wars show has really like dived into like what that could possibly mean. And interestingly enough, Solo is the one that did it the most.
Yeah.
And I do really appreciate that, because like I think what a lot of people have realized, what Ben kind of accidentally stepped in, is that is that droids are sentient, but so many people had just thought of them as cute little machines that we look on. But hell, the entirety of the original trilogy wouldn't have worked if R2-D2 wasn't such a badass. Like, you know, and so I think that's a lot of fun to think about. Like, when will that story get told of like the droid sentient being a major player is kind of a fun idea, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
I just had
fun.
As I was trying to say originally, B2 was breaking my heart. Like when they were when we were watching it, like the discovery of Marva through the perspective of B2, and how they don't, and just like the whole thing of like it just being all wavy, and it's like the second he says, "I want Marva, I will wait here for her." It's like, dude,
trying to tell your pet.
That is so sad. It is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, the cup that's standing on him is basically acting like a watering eye, because he can't cry. But the thing is like welling up like someone's crying, and I'm like, man, holy shit, that's
not to skip to the next episode too much, but like when he's kicked, I was like, oh, how dare you!
Bro, that's how the rebellion starts. Right
that
now.
is because he throws him over, and that's how the fighting begins.
Marva might be the mother of the rebellion, but really the father is B2.
No, he's the baby. He's the baby of that village. Like they give a shit about him.
That's true.
He was Marva's kid. Like that droid had been there since way before Cassian got there.
That's true. You're right.
Been with them a long time. They all knew Marva. They all knew him. And so everybody cares about him, especially as he's getting in his old age, and he's not the droid he used to be.
And when Cassian says to B2, like, take care of them, I will find you. It's like, you're not coming with us. Like, oh.
It's also a good representation again, like the way that these people care about B2 Emo is different, because when we see the droids usually treated as second-class citizens, it's or like considered lower, it's usually in the Outer Rim. And if you went and looked at it, it would be because, in theory, right, in the Outer Rim,
of the Clone Wars.
I was gonna say, in theory, in the Outer Rim, droids took their jobs.
Yeah.
Droids are the reason why they are poor and treated unfairly and don't have the opportunities to maintain wealth.
And then they got murdered by them.
Yes, in the way that they wanted to. And then this is, Ferrix is not Outer Rim, is not poor.
Mm-hmm.
It is a place managed by the Empire. It is a place closer to center. It is certainly a labor intensive place where they build something, but I wouldn't call anybody here poor.
I think they're like middle class.
They're like the regular. They're middle class.
Yeah,
they're like the more average, not poor. level, and so they have a different relationship with droids than the people in the Outer Rim would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's when B2 when B was trying to convince what's the guy's name?
Brazos.
That he can we just stay? Can we stay? I want to stay here. Because he's not charging, and like Brazos knows that, and he's just like, he's just like, fine, we'll stay one night.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, man.
It is. It's very touching. Let's talk about in episode 11 the incredibly great scene between Luthen and Saw Gerrera.
Oh, juice!
Where
juicy
where he comes to tell him about what's going to happen to Anton
and
Krieger.
Saw is on his way out, ready to go, baby. Let's do this.
I've decided I'm joining up, and he's like, I need to tell you, honestly, this is what's up. And it's really great because it is Luthen saying, like, Saw Gerrera is like, why are you telling me that? Why are you telling me this? And he's like, I want you to make this call because I no longer know if I'm doing the right thing. I now question if I'm doing the wrong thing, letting this man and a bunch of others die.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's worth it for the informant, but am I wrong? Have I lost the sight of what's truly valuable here?
Yeah, the line where Saw's like, is this really what you think? And he's like, well, I did. Because like he's actually like, what if like he's a hard man, but like, what if I'm going too hard right now? But like, Luthen, no, you're right.
Every time they say 30 men plus Krieger.
And Krieger. Because Krieger is honestly the more important person here. That's why Luthen continuously said it every single time. Like, because 30 people, that's a decent amount of people. They're not the leader of a faction.
But you look at it like you have your pockets, right? And your most prominent pockets right now are Saw, what Luthen's doing with Mothma, and Krieger. And they're going to lose one of their most important pockets right now. They're going to lose weapons. They're going to lose resources. They're going to lose a good leader.
Yeah.
That is so good that Luthen has to come there and be like, I question if having the informant is worth it. I just don't know. Ben, what do you think?
We all saw that. We were all like, bad.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. So I love this. So the scene with Saw, I love it. I absolutely adore that scene. That was such a good thing because the whole time I'm thinking, how is Luthen gonna get out of it? Because Saw, we know, Saw is unhinged. He's the type of guy who is willing to go guns blazing. Let's blow everything in sight. He's definitely the type of person to shoot 3 or 4 times and ask questions like 5 days later.
Well, he's not quite that person yet.
Yes,
he's getting there.
I think Luthen might have been the person who turned him into that with 2 tubes.
Yes. Well, no, I was going to say like this is important, right? Because in Rogue One, the rebellion truly goes to war in the events of Rogue One. That is when they decide a unified attack. We are going at the Empire. This is it. We are a rebellion.
Scare.
Yeah.
This is the moment where we militaristically push
connect.
back. But this is the moment where Saw went to war with the Empire.
Yeah.
This is when he says, now we're at war. This is an act of war. Because he doesn't want Anton Krieger to die for nothing.
Yeah. He might not like him, but he
has his own different way of thinking about it. So Saw starts his war with the Empire now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, real quickly, Ben, I didn't realize that 2 Tubes' name would actually be canonically 2 Tubes.
Yeah.
I thought that was just what we call them.
We got Dr. Quad Pod, the doctor, and I'm like, yo, man, I got the goofiest names. 2 Tubes, I'm not joking, probably my favorite Glub Shido. Every time that dude shows up, he's got his full gun and he's got his tubes. I'm like, there's my Glub Shido. There's my man. I love you, man.
Oh, you know what's interesting? I wonder how he went from what's her name? Solo. He's in the girl from Solo. Red hair. Flag Smasher from Solo.
Yeah, she's
Infus Nest.
Crimson Dawn.
Infus Nest.
Infus Nest. 2 Tubes was with Infus Nest 5 years ago from this point, and now he was Saw. You know what? Show me a Star Wars story 2 Tubes.
Give me his 2 Tubes story. You know, honestly, he was like, you guys aren't doing enough. I need to find someone who goes harder. And then he found Saw, and he's like, oh, my man.
Or did Infus Nest, or what would you say?
Did Saw just take over Infant's Nest?
I was just about to say the same thing. Did Saw take over Infus Nest?
Combine it. Yeah.
Is that how he got a lot of his force started.
Yeah.
I really like seeing this version of Saw Gerrera. He's like, is there someone in Mike? We're starting to see like the person that he'll become. Like, is there someone in Mike?
Yeah,
You have someone here. You have someone. Who is it? Who do you have here that's spying on me? It's two tubes.
And the thing is, he probably does.
Yeah.
It's not two tubes, but he absolutely does, or else how would he know that
Yeah.
he knows?
No, he just throws two tubes. Two tubes is like, whoa.
Oh, no. That's so good.
I didn't do shit. What are you talking about?
It's because he knew how like Saw was spinning himself up, and he had to just get to the point where he could get him to focus, which is pulling the gun on him. And he's like, I just want you to listen.
When that moment happened, I knew, like, I didn't think Luthen was gonna die, but I didn't, because how Saw is and how Luthen is, I didn't know how that was gonna go out. I thought it was gonna be worse. Because I'm like, you just pulled a gun on Saw Gerrera, bro. What are you doing?
I'm surprised that the second that he pulls a gun on Saw, you don't see everyone else just point their weapons right at Luthen.
Yeah.
Now, with this scene, we are currently tiptoeing around the elephant in the room. When he's walking up to Saw, they do a body check on him to see what he's carrying, and we see a particularly interesting wooden item.
Oh, his cane that he doesn't use very often,
which looks
interesting,
very much like a lightsaber handle.
Listen, like I'm still like, if they never do anything with him being a Jedi, that's fine. But like, man, episode 12, he was giving off the hardest Jedi vibes I've ever felt in my life.
You could still, I think, go under the guise of like he knew a Jedi, and that might be their lightsaber, and he had it retrofitted into a cane.
Yeah,
you could go that way for sure.
It's Chekhov's cane.
But it was distinct.
Yeah,
either put it down or give it back. It just takes it from him.
Listen, just like Andor's sister, who will eventually show up, I'm sure, that cane is going to be used in some way, whether it's a cane. And it's just like, he opens it and it's just a cane, and you like, oh, of course it's just a cane. Or it's like a big moment. Either way, I'm like, you guys aren't doing that on accident. You
brought up Andor's sister, which kind of triggered a thought that I had last night when I was watching this, the last episode, when I was thinking to myself, like, there's a line in Rogue One. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. Mm-hmm. We know that he comes from a planet that, as far as we know, didn't have a major Republic presence. We don't know much. We don't know much about that planet, though.
They're like basically like I feel like Native Americans. They're very they're like low technology.
Yeah,
like just living in a forest kind of people.
The original idea, I don't know if this was ever made canon and then retcon later, but I believe the original idea was that his parents were separatists. And then he joined the rebellion, much like Saw was he fought the separatists and then fought the Empire. I wonder if they're going to explain that, if they're going to find a way to make that work, or if they will just be like, you know what, that 6-year-old thing, ignore it. It's fine.
Well, I think.
Well, you don't need to ignore it, because, like, in many ways, you can argue that, like, when he was that young, when we see him taken by Marva,
that thing.
When we see him taken by Marva, it's the Republic, maybe, but like, it's still people invading his home. It's still people managing his space, killing his people.
Yeah.
And he's been fighting that force his entire life mentally, like whether he was doing it actively or just like trying to have to duck his head down and under the guise of whatever, get around them, because like he might not have been part of the rebellion, but he was constantly looking to undermine whatever the force that was pushing down on everybody was. That's why he went in when he could and stole the Imperial thing that Luthen was looking for at the beginning, that box. Yeah. Like, he hates all that form of power regardless of what it was. So that's what I think he means by like, I was in that fight since I was 6.
Our little sweet pea's just laying next to us, and she never does that, and it makes me happy. She's so cute. Sorry.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Sparks. I hadn't thought about that, but if that is what the intention is, then that's fine.
Because you think about it, like, there's no reason to suspect that he knew that was the Republic, not the Empire at the time.
I don't think he.
Yeah, I don't think Marva ever necessarily explained the difference between the two. What would be the purpose? Not long after he would be willing to think about it, it would be the Empire. So all it is just a higher force coming in and messing with your home.
Yeah.
And he's been against that the whole time.
It doesn't matter, if you're...
And we know that they were there for a while because we saw what they were doing to the land. It wasn't just that one ship that one time.
You're right. That planet was a mining planet, and something happened to that planet to make the Republic abandon it.
Yeah.
You know what? His parents could have been miners that were killed. We don't know where those kids came from.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. That's a really important point, is that we don't really see adults much.
Yeah.
In that whole, like they've all been taken. And if you think of it that way, like ever since he was 6, they took his parents away. That's it.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing right there.
Do you think Marva was meant to say F the Empire?
She was.
Yeah.
I in one of the interviews, Tony Gore said, they didn't limit me on much. I can do very little sex, and I couldn't swear. I couldn't use the big swear words because we get shit and bastard in these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
He would 100%. On Reddit, someone was a extra behind the scenes, and she did say "fuck the Empire" on set.
So I was thinking about this. I think there are now 2 instances that I can think of offhand. I'm sure there are more, where someone has said F you in a way that wasn't saying F you. And one of them was Star Trek 09, when Spock is told that he can't, his blah, blah, blah. And he goes, live long and prosper. That's definitely him saying F you to the Vulcan High Council. And I've been kind of waiting for another person to do something similar. And I really think this was the scene with Marva where she says, fight the Empire. Was that again? And I was really happy to see that.
I think they made the right call to not have her, like, you feel it, just like you said, Brandon. It's there. You feel it. Yeah. You know it. But I maybe I'm a little too purist with Star Wars. I would prefer that I never hear an F-bomb in Star Wars. I don't think the word belongs in Star Wars. I don't think it fits the language of Star Wars. I think there's no need to do it. It's one of those properties where it's like, you really never need to go there.
And you don't need to, like, say Flarkin or something.
Yeah. You know, you don't need to go there.
Yeah.
I thought the shit was fine. I was surprised to hear it earlier in the season. I think I made note of it in one of our previous reviews.
I mean, she also calls them bastards, but that's more of like a not as bad word.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, but like shit, we definitely had never heard before in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it really did make me go, oh, weird. We usually hear like voodoo or something there. That's weird. But I can roll with that. But I do think like dropping the F-bomb is the one curse word, maybe that and the C one. That I think both of those don't belong in Star Wars.
When Star Trek did it for the first time in Discovery, one of the characters dropped the F-bomb. It made national headline news.
Weird. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, there's an amount of like, you want Star Wars to be more than just like what you think it is as a kid, but I do want that world to feel apart, and I think bringing it a little too close with something like the F-bomb is like,
you're right. Like that's
just a little too close to just being something made by us.
Also too many nuts and screws and bricks in this show.
You take a layer of the separation of Star Wars from our reality down if you do that.
Yeah, there's like it is like a weird, like, we know it's not the real world, but like also like you don't need to bring every real thing into Star Wars. Like it can be its own thing while still taking from real world.
Yes, and like Brandon said, the intent is there. You feel it. You know that's what is intended. Like you feel it. It's there.
And I love the show. It's like, man, that was a great speech, and you're like, yeah, which one?
Oh my god! In that same episode, where we hear the manifesto as well and Marva's speech, brilliant. The manifesto guy, the guy who's narrating the manifesto, is just saying the same things that we know is going to happen. There are these small pockets of rebellion all across the galaxy, and they just need to unite into one.
I'm really glad that the logic is that Cassian started listening to the manifesto, and
his
really
podcast
it after the prison.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, this is bad.
My favorite line from the manifesto is, they have to grip us so hard because tyranny is unnatural. They have to keep their foot on our neck, or because it's not what we're used to. So they have to keep the pressure. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, the show's so well written. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that the entire time that line was going on, because like the Empire, because it's like the Empire is unnatural. That everything about what the Empire is trying to do is unnatural. And when you think about it, Palpatine created the Death Star. So Palpatine has such an interesting line to get to the Death Star. In this time period, he's got the senators. Well, he doesn't trust any of the senators. The senators have no power. He has the entire power in the government. So what does he do? He keeps the senators initially to keep the systems in check so that they don't rise up against him, because he knows there's more of them than there are of him, than there are of his soldiers, which is the prison allegory. Then he starts realizing senators aren't going to be in line all along. They're just rich people. I need to keep them fat, rich, and happy. So I install the governors. The governors on every system are mine to control. They answer only to me. They do not answer to the senators. And then once the governors are in control and the Death Star is built, gone with the senators. I now run everything. And he is playing this. What's so interesting is like, I talk a lot about how I like the prequels. It's known. Like the idea that Palpatine's intricate plan to create the Empire didn't stop with the creation of the Empire. He intended it to stop with the creation of the Death Star. Like the idea of like he's got the Empire, but he still needs to make these plans. He still needs to play everyone so that they don't know what exactly he's doing. Luthen even says it. They've been strangling us so long we forgot we forgot to fight back. Or what does he say? We forgot to notice. Mm-hmm. Because like the Empire, yes, the Empire happened, but then losing the senators, gaining the governors, losing this, gaining this, losing that, gaining this. We see it in the Bad Batch, we see it in Rebels, we see it in Andor, we see it in all these sort of things. All these things were more of a step to get the Empire to the place of total control. And then Luke comes in and screws everything up. I love seeing that path.
Stay on target.
Yeah.
Fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear of this battle station.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to talk about the sets real quick. That's again, I watched and read a bunch of interviews. We obviously know a lot of this was practical. Like obviously there's CG in Star Wars, but they had a 5-acre set for Ferrix.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows.
And they not just Ferrix for Andor, but a lot of it was Ferrix. And the prison, they spent 10 months building that prison. 10 months. That's an entire shoot for some people.
So worth it.
Like every set, I'm like, damn, you really did build that set. Like the set decorators were in the writing room, so they knew how to plan everything. Like it was so meticulously created from the ground up. I'm like, man, like why do you have the set decorators in the writing room? That's insane. And like, yeah, look what happens when everyone's included on their creative process.
This is all the more reason. Go ahead, Ben.
No, I was just gonna say it makes it look so good. This is the best looking Star Wars. I thought don't get me wrong, the volume is really cool. It is a very cool piece of tech, but all the sets, like Ferrix itself, I'm like, I'm on a planet now. I'm on a different planet. I'm in the middle of this town that's lived in. This town that has its own identity. I love it.
The volume's cool. It has limitations.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't the volume's great when you're doing small stuff, but like sometimes like when you want to expand that's not in space, like it's not real. It looks good, but it's not there. You can feel it.
Yeah. I think it also speaks to the anti the Star Wars is a good example for this, but anti the Star Wars movie every year kind of thinking that they were doing for a portion there. Mm-hmm. Where if they hadn't felt so compelled to push Solo or push Rise of Skywalker out, I like Solo, but it was the compulsion of we must put that movie out at this time. We must put this movie out every year instead of being willing, especially in the loss of Carrie Fisher, to push Rise of Skywalker back. That I think contributes to the fact that it's not a well thought out film, not a well structured film because they rushed it, and they rushed it when they shouldn't have. And when you take the time, 10 months to build a prison, when you take the time, then you get a good product. I think we will more and more be rubbing up against that sometimes with some of these big franchise IPs that sometimes things take a little more time and we need to be okay with that. We all need to accept it.
Yeah. Again, that hearing that Daredevil is an 18-month shoot in New York is a 12-month shoot. Sorry. It's like a year. It's a whole ass year of shooting. I'm like, man, see, that's them taking their time. Like, I feel like Andor is like we knew we could do this with Star Wars. Let's try it with Daredevil. Hopefully that's a good parallel. Hopefully
I do think Andor will hopefully set a sea change in how they think about the quality of what they put out for these franchises, that quality is better than quantity.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I want more of these things. I want them to be good more than I want more.
Yes.
And I think I would even point to Werewolf by Night or the Guardians Holiday Special as examples of because those things were more finite, they were able to take more time to make them just right for their little amount of time that they had. And they hit pitch perfect on a high that when taken as a whole, some of the other seasons of Marvel or Star Wars stuff don't.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night, obviously there's Man-Thing and CG tons, but that's a set. They built a big ass set. That's a place they went to. And it shows and it's valuable. It's worth it.
The thing is, the volume is a tool.
Yes.
The volume is a tool, just like anything else is a tool. When it's used as a crutch, it doesn't work. And I think The Mandalorian season 2, especially, and Boba Fett too, started using the volume as a crutch. And And I'm really happy that Tony Gilroy decided not to use the volume. I do think he could have benefited from it if he used it as a tool, but knowing the limitations of the volume, he decided to go this route, and I think it was the right way to go.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to turn to a scene before we focus on what I think is the important part of talking about the finale, the whole thing on Ferrix and all the angles of that. There is one more moment from episode 11 I want to spotlight, which is Luthen's escape from the Imperial ship.
That's so
I'm
cool.
hoping this might wake Ben up a little bit. Ben, tell us how much you were jazzed about this scene.
Oh, I love this. Every time we mention this scene, it's like, man, I want to talk about this one. I want to talk about that one. But yeah, just Luthen escaping from the Empire and him just A, destroying the tractor beam, B, just wiping those TIE fighters off out of the sky. I was just like, you go, Luthen. And it also makes you feel that Luthen is just more than a guy who makes deals in an antique shop. He's more. We know he's more than just the guy he is, because like we see him, he knows everything about casting Andor, and then the next episode you see him putting the wig on, doing his little it's like, oh yes, this is the mask I put on, the airs I put on the Empire, and to see him that he can back all of this up because he's a fantastic pilot. And he's a great pilot. He can lie on the spot, and he can just blow shit up.
Oh man, when he's doing the this when he's talking to the Empire, he's like, oh yeah, hang on, I'm a one-man crew here, so just
gotta give me a second.
Yeah. Give me a second.
It kind of reminded me of New Hope, where Han is like, everything's fine. How are you?
Fine now here, thank you.
How are you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right, the padding that he does, and it really is that, like, it doesn't even matter like how skilled he is or anything. The fact is that Luthen is willing to throw every single trick in the book to make sure he escapes, because he's like, if I'm caught, it's over.
Yeah.
And I cannot allow it. I cannot allow it. I will do whatever it takes to not be captured.
And once again, Imperial overreach, like the captain of that ship. He's definitely going to get demoted or die, because that is an expensive ship that Luthen just destroyed. All that surveillance. And it was like
a gigantic satellite.
The boys need practice. Let them board anyway, even if we don't need to. And I'm like, there you go, being an asshole. Look what you get. Because
they buy it. They buy the new transponder, the Alderaan transponder, and they're like, okay, yeah, he
just wasn't compliant enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like So two things that I want to. One thing I want to highlight before I talk about like the Cantwell class is that what's really cool about the lead up to that scene is the dialogue between Luthen and his assistant. I forgot her name. Sorry,
Clea.
They're talking in code about pieces, about artwork. If we lose this piece, we have to close up shop. It's brilliant. It's a brilliantly written scene, and as the audience, you're never lost once. You know exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about Andor. They're talking about Saw. They're talking about this, that. It's wonderful to see. And Luthen is keeping up the lie just in case the Empire is listening. Someone's always listening. I thought that was a brilliantly written scene. I just wanted to highlight that because it's brilliant.
Not to mention his lasers.
The Cantwell class is really interesting to me because we have not seen that ship in action before. We have seen it once in Solo, but we haven't. But it was on like a holographic projector in the recruitment station where he gets his last name.
I've used it in Star Wars strategy video games.
And it's a really cool ship that was, I believe, a concept art for the original Star Destroyer. I think it was supposed to be like the Star Destroyer, like the first Ralph McQuarrie designed Star Destroyer. And so it's really cool to see that ship in action, and how like the satellite dish works. And I gotta tell you, I knew that the show looked good because when they first showed us the ship in Lightspeed in the third episode, I looked at that ship and I go, holy shit. The lighting on that ship is immaculate. The scale of that ship is gorgeous. What show am I watching? This is a movie.
Yeah.
This is a movie.
Yeah, 100%.
And we see it again. The lighting on that Star Destroyer, the pure whites on the Star Destroyer is so blindingly beautiful. On the planet is gorgeous. The light source from the sun in the system, amazing. The scale I'm choking because I loved the effects, the CGI in that sequence are frankly the best we have seen in a Star Wars live action TV show.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it makes me think of it's episode 7 when Cinta is back on Aldani and she sees the giant Star Destroyer show up and she's just looking up at it. And I'm like, man, that looks so good.
Yeah,
because she's on a real land, which is real, and then you see the thing upstairs. I'm like, well, they had enough time to work on that. I'm like, man, this is just real and practical, like, and CGI is all. It's just so beautiful when you don't rely on CGI the entire time. Like, it's magical.
And what helps is that it allows it to feel like it's a piece with Rogue One specifically, because Rogue One, one of the things that Rogue One does really well is the scale of the Star Destroyers and the Death Star. Mm-hmm. I think that the visuals in Rogue One are some of the best in Star Wars, even to this day. Maybe Tarkin's aging a bit, but still, like I think that like what we see like the first shot of the Death Star satellite of the Death Star dish being installed is incredible. The fight above Scarif, I believe it's the best. It's the best fight scene in all of Star Wars. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. And it feels real, and it feels and we see, on Jeddah, when we see the Star Destroyer on top of Jeddah, and like we get the scale, we feel the scale, we see the texture, we feel the texture. Like it is incredible. One of the things that Gareth Edwards did really well. It was Edwards, right? I said that one right.
Yeah.
Okay, I was Evans and Edwards. I know they're different people, but
yeah.
Edwards understands scale.
And what Tony Gilroy has done is translated that so brilliantly to Andor. And I cannot wait in 3 years' time when Andor ends and I watch Rogue One, because it's going to feel exactly the same visually, stylistically.
Yeah. Don't forget Tony Gilroy helped write and reshoot a lot of the finale of Rogue One as well.
He did.
So it's Gareth Edwards definitely started it, but like there's a reason Tony Gilroy came back. Because like
no, I know. Gareth. I don't mean to diminish Tony Gilroy's involvement in Rogue One, because he is the reason why Rogue One is the movie it is. Gareth Edwards did not do the reshoots for that movie. Gareth Edwards did set the design sensibility for that movie, and Tony Gilroy picked it up and did some great work with it, and continues to do great work with it in Andor.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about merchandise, because Andor is not exactly a show you think would be like, hey, we're on Walmart. During the Rolling Stone interview, he was like, are there gonna be any toys? I personally really want the prison set, ha ha ha. And he's like, we have toys. We have the Fondor Hallcraft, and we have B2 Emo. We'll have some more toys before the end of the entire show, hopefully. So at least we're getting 2 cool ones. Because like I don't know if I'm gonna buy a Bix Colleen figure, but like
I could go for a B2 figure.
I'll definitely get a B2 Emo.
You could go for a B2 figure. Man, I really like that little droid.
Yeah.
Oh, and you mentioned an offhand, but like the double bladed lightsaber coming out of that ship is. See, the thing is, like when we watch this trailer, that shot's in the trailer.
I forgot.
Is in one of the trailers, and it kind of gave me the wrong impression after watching all the other shows that we talked about. The reason why we came in to Andor with such low expectation is partially because the other shows have been disappointing. Mm-hmm. And one of that is like, oh, is this going to be action heavy? Or there's going to be lightsabers? Oh, a ship with lightsabers. But the fact that they are able to hold that back, wait till the show earns it, and then deliver one of the best skirmishes that we've seen. Incredible.
And I just love that Luthen, like, he had a plan. Like, if this ever happened, like, yo, I know what I got to do. Like, tractor beams pull shit. I got a lot of shit they don't want to get pulled. Bunch of shit, bunch of trash. Trash man. It's just really smart.
Yes. Exceptional scene. I now want to focus on the funeral.
Let's do it.
At Ferrix and everything that happens there.
Dong!
Everything about the construction of this is wonderful. The finale is so good.
Yeah.
The focus of this on this place saying goodbye to a daughter of Ferrix, Marva.
Having a real marching band on set too, playing the music too.
Her hologram, again, Fiona Shaw, wonderful. I'm so glad that she was able to play this part in this, because I think she's great. I think her appearance as a hologram is wonderful.
Mother of the Rebellion, baby.
I like that. I really love the music. I love the way that they have it with the instruments and how they're moving down the street. I love the way that we see these frightened fascists trying to prepare for this and getting scared, especially Deirdre when she gets nabbed by the mob before her sub Clarence saves
Oh my
her.
god, dude, she gets hit with a rock, and I'm like, damn, vicious. And then she starts getting like mauled by 10 people. I'm like, damn.
And Brazos using Marva's brick to take that first hit against the guy who knocks over B2 Emo.
I want that action figure. I'll buy him in a brick. 100%.
Boom.
I'll do it.
That's a Banksy right there. That moment of boom. I think it's just all constructed so very, very well. And the episode's tension and its release of tension is so good. I love and adore every bit.
There's a bit that I noticed watching it when Deidre and the Imperials who are looking for Cassian are looking around. Marva is already talking slander against the Empire. Deidre's not paying attention because she's so fully focused on finding Andor. That was her mistake. That was one of her mistakes. In this episode specifically, she's looking at this going like, okay, where's Andor? Where's Andor? She's not paying attention to what Marva's, oh, what's this girl, that girl saying? It doesn't matter to me. I'm looking for Andor. I need to find Andor. And she doesn't pay attention to the fact that like this crowd is getting riled up.
Yes.
But the other, the lower guy, the black suited fascist, is looking at this like, shit.
Yeah.
Do we stop this?
This, there have been obviously like other, like, you know, they just killed Anton Krieger and stuff, but like this really, like, and this is bringing me back to like my being like a history buff days of like, this reminded me of the first battle of the Revolution at Lexington and Concord. And this is not something I pulled from it. This is me, like, I actually got to think about something for once in my life. It's amazing. Like the first battle, like the shot heard around the world, like that's the start of the revolution. Thank you, Schoolhouse Rock and shit. But like, this is the first time that like, yes, there are like rebel separatists and stuff like that, but this is the first time the regular people just outright attack the Empire. And the thing I'm more curious about than anything is what's going to happen to Deidre, because she failed her mission on Ferrix. So either she's either going to get fired and become a crazy terrorist with a Cyril Karn, or she's going to stay in the Empire and get demoted or something. But like this is not a win for her. So she is going to get some serious backlash, and I think it's just going to turn her into a more evil fascist, regardless of what actually happens to her. I think this is like the start of like super evil Deidre and Karn moment.
I think she's going to have a more refined version of what happened to him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So one of the things I really like about this scene, and the many things that I can say that about, is the idea that like Deidre was talking to her superior. I forgot the guy's name.
Pendergast?
Pendergast, I think, yeah. And he's talking about like how, oh yeah, nope. This was about wiping the taste of Aldani out of the Emperor's mouth.
Yep.
So we're done. And she's like, well, we should have kept someone to because the Empire is still not willing to really believe that there was a forming rebellion coming. But Deidre also knows. We know that Deidre knows that this is probably the case. She suspects. And what she's and so like to have the like 1-2 punch of this, the Empire is not going to bat an eye at what happened at Ferrix. Not really. They're going to know that this was a blunder. They're not going to think about this in relation to what happened with Krieger. Yeah. As far as like, oh, this is rebellion. Oh, this was a riot at the funeral. We got the rebellion. We're done. We did that. We got Krieger. We're done.
That's a great point. Yeah,
it's the perspective of the narrative they're trying to feed to the Emperor is that
we quelled
Anton Krieger and his people that they got were the people who did Aldani. That's their narrative. And they do know or believe that there is an informant out there named Axis, who is their person that they need to find, who helped make Aldani happen. But he is the lone man, the lone person left out there who might have a few stragglers, but the force of the rebellion is already quashed.
Yeah, and I love that during that scene when Deidre is Skyping with Pendergast about the thing, Blevins and Lonnie, I think, are both also on Deidre's side. They're like, yeah, there's no one to question either. Like they also think this was a bad idea because they know it was smart to bring someone in. But again, yeah, the Emperor just wants to kill everyone.
And she's having to stress even to some of those grunts, Imperials that are there. Like, I will state it again, Andor will be taken alive. I don't want to have to say it more than once.
And she has to, unfortunately.
She does. Because she has to make it absolutely clear that the most important thing is that they get Andor alive.
Because Andor could lead them to Axis. Sorry, Ben. Because Andor can lead them to Axis.
Yeah,
and any one of the Krieger's men could probably lead them to Axis as well, or so they think. But what's so fascinating about what happened with Ferrix is like, to the Empire, this is just a riot.
Mhm.
This isn't an act of rebellion.
Right.
Bix, beautiful, sad Bix. I'm glad she got a happy ending.
Oh, me
I was
too.
really worried with the trajectory of the show. Just like they're just gonna leave her there, and she's just gonna suffer until next season. I'm like, no, Cassian, thank God, you're the best.
No, it's very cool. I do like the reveal that like what Andor's really there to do, because like he did, he wanted to say goodbye to his mom, but when he learns that Bix is in danger and he knows the Empire's looking for him, he's like, well, I'll just use this as the opportunity to get her.
Yeah.
Like I can get her out. Like I love my mom, but that's not what not what I'm here to do. I'm here to save the person who's trapped because of me.
And that scene where she's in the prison and she hears the song of Ferrix being played and she loves it and she's humming it. Then she finds out that Marva died because she wasn't there when it happened.
Right.
She found that she died through the speech, and she starts crying. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, how is this good? This is so. And then luckily Cassian's there, because otherwise I would have been like, y'all are so mean.
Before Ben falls on his keyboard in sleepiness, I just want to highlight that I love Hammer Dude kicking the stormtrooper off the tower.
Oh, yeah.
What?
You know his name, don't you? What's his name?
No, of course I don't know his name.
The time
Grappler.
Oh, why would I know that?
Because I tweeted it.
I don't
He's
see
the
every
Time
tweet.
Grappler, the best Doctor Who title I've ever heard in Star Wars.
Yo, his
Time
Spartan kick
Grappler.
is like a top 10 moment for me, man.
Yeah.
You love it.
Like
Wish it was
he's
more on
just
screen.
banging on that anvil, and I'm just like, and then the stormtrooper goes up. I'm like, come on! I was expecting him to hit him with a hammer, but he just like Sparta kicks him off, and I was like, hey, you go, guy.
I'm really glad that the guy who saw Cassian and sold him out also gets blinded.
Yeah.
Killed in the blast.
There's definitely a moment when the speech is happening where he's like thinking introspectively. I'm like, oh, are you actually gonna like join a rebellion? I'm like, no, like you kind of deserve that in a way.
Other people have been talking about it on Twitter, but the other thing I like is that during Marva's speech, the guy who brought Cyril there is listening to the speech, and he's kind of going, maybe the Empire's bad.
See,
and he's looking at Cyril, and he's like, and then he's just left on the steps, like being sad, like shit.
That's the moment where I think he's buying into it. With
Yeah.
Cyril Karn, I think you can read into it, but once he's sitting on the steps just drinking, he's like, what have I been doing?
Yeah.
I think he's like,
he's like Karn doesn't believe what Marva's saying at all. He totally disagrees with it. But the guy next to him is like eyeballing Karn, like, this is kind of making
this
sense
is
to me.
true.
Karn,
This is exactly what the Empire did to us, right? And Cyril's like, no, not at all. Yeah.
Karn is such a sub-fascist
Yeah.
because this man is so whipped for fascism. He's just like, he sees Deidre and he's like, I'm going to be Deidre's savior. Like there was a moment in that cupboard after he saves her of like, this could be his moment to be like, oh, we're gonna kiss now, right? Because now you love me. Like he's such a fascinating character to watch because he is much like Cassian. We talked about earlier how Cassian has been throughout the season presented with the path of rebellion and took the other way deliberately, much like Karn has, but Cassian was open to it. Karn has been presented with, hey, the Empire is bad, and always said, no, it's not.
It's so funny. There's an interview, or not interview, sorry, at D23, before Andor came out, before it was revealed what the show was, the actors were all on stage, and the actor playing Joe Karn was like, I'm so glad to be in Star Wars. Like, I don't think you guys are going to like me. And then the audience was like, no, we love you. And he's like, really? You guys got to watch the show. I promise. I'm not who you think I am. And it's like, you are disgusting, my guy.
No, and then we watched the show. It's like, oh, he was absolutely right. I hate him.
Yeah. He is one of the most like fascinating Star Wars characters ever made, and he's just a dude who loves power, and like for the wrong reasons. And he's like, nah, man, this is what we're supposed to do. The system works. I promise it works. Let me show you.
Is it horrible that I'm shipping him with Deidre?
No.
Okay.
No, baby, that's content. Content.
I will say it is both horrible and not, because like neither of these people deserve a ship because they're both horrible. They're both horrible fascists. What?
They deserve each other. They're disgusting.
Like in the sense of like, I also kind of ship them of like I want Deidre to like wreck him because like I think he's just like a gross monster, and Deidre's just a gross fascist.
Yeah. that moment when they're together at the end when he saves her, there's so many emotions happening because one, she could have just been killed by some random guy. She doesn't know this, right? But then it turns out to be her stalker. And just the emotions of like, what, how, why, what? like, I thank you.
I love the
baby.
I love the trauma that seeing the trauma on her face of like she's just shaking. She's in the whole scene. She's just shaking from adrenaline, and she's just looking at him like, I guess I should say thank you. Like she can't calm down because of the adrenaline. Incredible scene.
And Cyril, he always has like he thinks he's the lead in like a romantic comedy or a romantic show.
100%.
He's always like pouty and like stern and like grinding his teeth. And I'm like, I'm the hero. I say the lines you think I should say, but when you say them, Cyril, you sound like an idiot. You think you're like, I was a good detective or whatever. Like, bro, you're off.
Because we talked about it before. That he sees in Deidre a kindred spirit. This is the Empire. This is who I love. This is tried and true. This person represents everything I love about the Empire. And I want to be close to that person because of that. And he sees, honestly, rightfully, that Deidre would be in danger, and he immediately, without thinking about it, goes. But because we know who Cyril, the kind of person that Cyril is, we know that he does this not because he's like, oh, Deidre, my love, I want to save you. Oh, Deidre, the person I stalk, I need to save you. I need to be that person for you.
Yeah, like it's a hero complex of like, oh, like I'm gonna save her, I'm gonna be the hero, and she's gonna love me for it. Like that super toxic masculinity of like, I did the thing for you, so now you owe me. Yeah. And I have a feeling next season Deidre is somehow going to be trapped by that. Somehow, I think Karn unfortunately now has something on her where like, you have to help me because I saved your life.
Or they'll be the Empire's new power couple.
Man, oh my god, like any scene that happens in the future, I'm happy if they're together or not, because it's like just they're so gross. But now they're together, and like I think they're going to be together, whether it's romantically or just working together. I think Cyril will lean into it, and she'll just be like, no, we are partners, but not those kind of partners. And he's gonna be like, yeah, but tomorrow though we'll try again. Like, oh, you're so gross. I'm just like, I'm so excited. Cyril Karn, like, I can't believe I love a character so much who's just like just a gross man, a gross man.
They're gonna have a moment in season 2 that's gonna be like the inverse of the for them of the end of Rogue One for Cassian and
oh
Jyn.
Yeah,
that's gonna be them getting wiped out by the Empire, but they will kiss and they will be destroyed in that moment.
Yeah, like they're about to be killed by troopers, and you're like, this is how it's gotta go, babe. Like, yeah. Oh my god,
they're from a firing squad, and it's like, now kiss, and then they get blown up.
God, that would be poetry.
Cue the Anakin and Padme music.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about?
I think that there's a part in the speech where Marva says, there's a darkness reaching like rust, and it's not visiting anymore. And when she says it's not visiting anymore, they like specifically have the shot focusing down on like the battened down shields, like police force style, and going all the way back to the Imperial officers that are watching. And I think that's just such a brilliant shot.
I
just really like it.
Her speech is incredible. Like, there's so many great speeches, but like, I think this is like either Luthen's sacrifice speech or this is like the one. But when she's like, we were all sleeping, and like we have to wake up. That's so powerful, and that is such a modern message too of like being woke, waking up, for the fascism and stuff. And I'm just like, her just saying it.
It's also going to give Luthen ideas, for how to inspire people.
Oh yeah. Like again, like Marva, like she to me, like I call her like the mother of the rebellion. Like she's not, but like this is the first like real strike of people becoming rebels, turning against the Empire, all in one swift go. And that's going to start happening so much more over the next couple of years for the rebellion.
You brought up such an interesting point just then, and I want to kind of like dig into it, because you said you keep calling her the mother of the rebellion, but she's kind of not, but or however you reported it. But the idea is that like there are many fathers and mothers of the rebellion.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really like about this era of Star Wars, and I've talked about at nauseum before, is that we see pockets all over the Empire. And for rebels, the spark of their rebellion was the destruction of Tarkin's Star Destroyer. Mm-hmm. For Andor, it's Marva's speech. For the Bad Batch, I don't remember. For Luke, Leia, for them, it was the destruction of the Death Star. Leia,
For just real quick for Bad Batch, do you mean like the thing that made them turn against the Empire?
yeah,
It's when they reprogram their buddy.
it's when they reprogrammed. It's when they reprogrammed.
When they find out that they've reprogrammed him, and they could
Echo?
reprogram the rest. No, not five. No. It's
I
the
don't
sniper.
know.
It's the sniper one.
I don't know.
Crosshairs.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're right. That's when that was. And so like there are the thing that I think this era of Star Wars is doing really well that I think Legends didn't do very well is that it's trying to say that like the rebellion didn't start with one person. The rebellion didn't start with Mon Mothma. The rebellion didn't start with Leia. The rebellion started with a lot of people. There are a lot of fathers and mothers of the rebellion. There are a lot of places that started what we know to be the Rebel Alliance. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Just because it does tie into Andor. But right before that, though, for the Bad Batch is they're sent on a mission to kill
Take out Saw.
who they think will be rebellious insurgents. So they want them to die. They're just civilians that Saw Gerrera is protecting, and Saw Gerrera.
I remember that.
They're just people. Are you really here to kill people?
Yeah.
And they turn back and say no.
I hope season 2 we get to see how Saw gets to oogly boogly.
We see him wrangling in one episode and he's lost a leg and he's getting further.
That'd be so funny.
Interestingly, if we see Saw in every arc of that season, we would see him keep changing into the Saw Gerrera we meet in Rogue One.
I could almost, maybe not every arc, but I guarantee you we will have check-ins with Saw or like getting crazier, getting more robot-like. Love it.
I liked the idea that Saw was meant to be like this Darth Vader parallel. I don't think Rogue One did this quite as well. And I would like to see that. I don't know if Andor is the place that we'd see that parallel explored in more detail. But just kind of in general, as like a note for Star Wars in general, I'd like to see them actually do something with that.
Like, I just want like the Andor cinematic universe.
I think
I just want like a whole Saw season. I want all of this explored.
I think they're probably wanting to step further away from the notion of what they've used in saying about Darth Vader before that, like the more machine he became, the less human.
Yeah.
I think they probably want to step further away from that with Saw because it's become a
like
more
ableist.
like disparaging and,
Yeah.
and ableist. And so I think they kind of want to stay away from that story idea at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Perhaps.
We haven't talked about the ending of Cassian on Luthen's ship, confronting him like, you came here to kill me. And Luthen's like, yep, you didn't make it
Yes,
easy.
I did.
You didn't make it easy. And like, I love that he's just like, all right, cool. So you can kill me if you want, or you can bring me in. And then Luthen has to think about it for a second. Then he gives a wry little smile.
Well, because it and importantly for Cassian, it's that he has come on the full journey to the point where he's like,
I'm ready.
I care about the fight to take down the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that is what my mom believed in. I believe in it now too. Because I've seen and experienced things that make me believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't fight them, then I want to be dead.
Yeah, then all of that, that my journey up to here will have been for nothing
Right.
if I can't continue the fight. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it really is just, I'm part of this or I'm dead. That is the only path.
Yeah, because like, I mean, he still has family, but like his mom's gone, his dad's gone. Like he's nothing left to give. So like, this is it. Like I'm all in or I'm dead, and like that is incredibly powerful. What a great ending.
Which was the whole thing. Is like, why did Luthen want him dead? Because he didn't
feel
like
committed.
he didn't want to be part of the fight.
He was a loose end. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He didn't like them, but he didn't believe in the cause. He believes in the cause.
Mm-hmm.
This was the journey of him deciding, I care enough about this. I will give my life to this.
What a good show.
Yeah.
Davos Golden's wife looks like the Bride of Frankenstein.
Because it's yes, that's true.
She's got big ass
That's so
hair.
true. Yes, she has the big hair. Yes. Because for Luthen, like what Cassian has made clear is exactly what he said. Like, you have to be willing to give up everything. Cassian's standing there saying, yeah, I will give you my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. Like, I want this. So yeah, he's more useful alive than dead at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I am very excited for the next season.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
I am very excited to rewatch Rogue One when this is all over.
Same.
Yeah,
Same.
it's almost a bummer that like, because I can't watch Rogue One now because the story's not done yet. Because like I know how it ends, but like I need the full journey. So I'm like, I get to wait 2 years to watch Rogue One, and when I do, my memory will be bad enough, or I'll be like, hell yeah, full circle, everything's great again. Can't wait.
Anything else?
I'm really curious if we'll see Galen or so. I was thinking originally that probably not, but now I'm thinking in that last arc leading to Rogue One that we might get Bodhi.
Yeah.
I
think we'll even get it earlier.
Our Imperial pilot who's going to defect.
Yeah.
It would probably be in the last arc.
Oh, no,
he did
you're
it very
right.
recently.
No, you're right. I forgot.
But our Imperial pilot who defects and has the information from Galen, I was like, oh, we might see that. So that might be how we see Galen.
I 100%. Go ahead.
I have a wish list of people I would like to see, and I get it, Tony Gilroy. You don't want to do the cameo show. I understand. I have a wish list of people I would love to see in the show, and if that doesn't happen, it's great. It's still going to be a great show. But like I mentioned, Admiral Radis. We mentioned Hera before. I think Hera would be fun to see on the show. But like Mendo, Krennic,
yeah,
that'd be cool.
Krennic, I 100% believe maybe not the whole season, but definitely the last arc. It's going to be heavy Rogue One shit.
Yeah.
Heavy. Like that will be the cameo arc, but it's not a cameo arc because that's just part of the story.
Right.
It's not cameos when they're supposed to be there.
I would love to see. So, okay.
Stamp.
So there's something that's really interesting about Radis that I think is really fun. So we know how Radis left Mon Cala with his fleet of Mon Calamari ships. We saw that in Star Wars Darth Vader. It's a little bit earlier than this point. Maybe a lot earlier. But I would be willing to bet that there could be, not to speculate what the arcs could be, but like I could see feasibly how one of the arcs could be Cassian and maybe some other rebels. Maybe he's already got K2SO at this point. I do think we're going to jump into an arc and K2SO is going to already be there. We're not going to see the origin of where that story came from. I could see them having an arc where they bring in Admiral Radis into the rebellion.
Yep, they need, again, like this is all about in the interview thing that I mentioned, like season 2 is about building the rebellion.
Yes.
So that is going to be them doing all the outreach that we didn't see yet.
I'm sure part of the story is, once Mothma has left the Senate, it's her with Organa getting the Mon Calamari force that they need for the rebellion.
Yeah.
And I can see a story that's all about those three. And maybe Luthen as well, before Luthen probably dies.
It only makes sense.
It only makes sense only because like Luthen is a person who would give his life completely for the cause. So the fact that we don't see him in episode 4 or beyond would imply that he has already passed.
Yeah.
Otherwise he'd be there.
It's incredibly wild to me that I'm sitting here to you guys right now, hoping that we see Mon Calamari that dies in Rogue One. I really like Admiral Radis, and I would love to see him in the show. I think he'd be perfect for the show.
Listen, I want to see all those Bothans. All those Bothans who died getting these plans. I want to see a planet of Bothans. I'm like, where are the Bothans at? They're little, in Battlefront, the original Battlefront, they're little alien people who go invisible. And I'm like, yo, those are cool spy people. I want to see that. I want to see that shit.
The Bothans got the second Death Star plans, not the first.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
That's when Mon Mothma says many Bothans died trying to get us that because that's in Return of the Jedi.
There you go.
I thought it was also about how the Emperor was going to be on the Death Star too, because they're like, this is our chance.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, we could still see Bothans, like we could still see them, but I just remember the discourse being like, oh, these guys don't look like Bothans when Rogue One was coming out, and everyone was kind of like, no, that was Return of the Jedi. Shut up.
You know who would be like wild
Starkiller
to see just on the Imperial side pre the Rogue One moment? I don't even know what context you put them in. You could just have fun with making them appear. It probably won't happen.
Hondo?
It doesn't really make sense. No, I forget her name, but our Imperial soldier from the Battlefront 2 storyline.
Oh, Iden Versio.
Iden.
Yeah. I have been desperately wanting them to do something with that character because I still think that campaign is totally fine. But if you flesh that character out more, I would be more accepting of it.
What if Versio is like part of the Imperial force that ultimately like subsumes Deidre?
That'd be Jesus Christ. That'd be so sick. Yeah, because everything about she has to rise up in the ranks before Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Oh, that's too good. Synergy.
What was the
Damn, I want that now.
Who? It was Tarkin. I was thinking to myself, like, it's too bad we can't see Tarkin on the show. I mean, I guess we could recast, but
you just go back to the guy who played him, but don't do the CGI overlay.
That's fair.
It
Yeah.
was so great, man.
He already could with makeup look pretty good,
Yeah.
and he did a great performance.
And the thing is, I think
people have said just bring him back.
Let's say Tarkin is in the show. I firmly believe Tony Gilroy could sway Disney to not do the CGI bullshit.
I think minimum Tarkin shows up as a voice at some point.
Sure.
Maybe even over just an intercom for one single moment of a scene, and
Like,
it is that guy. Like you don't need to see him visually; you could have just
even the back of his head
overlay, exactly.
Yeah.
Talking to someone,
Or like hologram, maybe, or is that too much?
Well, because I was saying like a way to avoid doing the CGI stuff or the makeup
Right,
again.
right,
You can just hear his voice, or like Ryan said, the back of his head, and you know who it is. You know from the sound of his voice, because again, I forget the name of the actor, but the actor who played Tarkin for Rogue One did a very good job of recapturing Peter Cushing's performance. So you can hear that is Tarkin, even if you're not seeing him.
They had a voice like in Rebels. I'm not sure if it's the same guy, but I remember specifically because in Clone Wars, Tarkin was played by Tom Kane, and I thought he was terrible. I was like, what are you doing? Tom Kane's voice is way too deep for Tarkin. And then Rebels
Had a better one.
Had a better one.
A guy named Steve Stanton does it in The Bad Batch. I don't know if that's the same guy. He's also Admiral Raddus in Rogue One.
Yes.
I think that is the Tarkin voice for Rebels also.
Hell yeah.
And Paul Casey is Admiral Rat. Oh, is the body.
Body. Sorry. Yeah.
It's the body. Yeah. All right.
Love it. I fully expect season 2. And it's fun because like it could be quote unquote the cameo season, but it's not, because that's just what it's where the story is. It's not cameos if it's like part of the story. Like
right.
There's
it's
certain
not,
people you have to see.
Yeah, there's certain like
we're not going to see Luke.
No, I don't. Yeah. I don't know. I
would have thought that about some parts of Kenobi. So, you never know.
No, at this point, well, actually, no. Because, like, again, they can earn it. But, like, yeah, Luke's not so much.
You're not going to see Luke. You might see Leia.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Oh, we could see Leia. We could see Leia.
You know
that'd be
who
cool.
I'd like to see even more, to be honest? If we're going to see Bail, I wouldn't mind, like, if we don't see Leia, but I would love it if we got a scene between him and his wife.
Yeah.
About being involved in the rebellion and how high stakes things are getting.
Can you imagine Alderaan, but not on the volume? Oh.
Yeah.
My heart. I was just thinking, like, yeah, we could see Leia, and I was just thinking to myself, like, thank goodness we don't see Tatooine in this show. I'm so sick of Tatooine.
Yeah, is there a desert planet? Well, I guess Ferrix technically counts, but it has like color.
No, it's got fields, it's got mountains.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same.
Not a desert in sight.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about?
I mean, I honestly could talk about this forever, but like, yeah, I'm so
incredible show.
I'm just so pleased.
Incredible show. So pleased, so grateful. Andor has, I think, I'm pleased for what Andor means for the future of Star Wars in quality. I'm pleased to see more of it, but I also think I think Andor is going to be looked back on as a show, as a shot in the arm for specifically Disney Plus shows, but all streaming service shows.
Yeah,
to live up to a higher standard. Because clearly, like, even regardless of how many people are watching the show, Disney understands that there's a lot of quality on this show.
They got a hit
because they put it on other networks, and that means something. And I think they understand that this is different, and they want to start hitting this different more.
Yeah.
I hope Kevin Feige's sitting over there and he's like, "Damn, you can like make a show."
So I got my final. This will be my final thoughts and part of the interview from Tony Gilroy. The interview is like, Star Wars is generally what you call a space opera. Andor is so much closer to something else. You can call it dystopian science fiction. You can call it an allegorical science fiction. And he's just like, I didn't want to do what we did before. How can I make it different? What can we do? So that was my starting point. Star Wars is not my go-to Friday night. I'm not beholden to a lot of things. You don't bring me in unless you know I'm going to do something different. I'm a disruptor. They did this on purpose. And the fact that they believed in it, that's funny. He disruptor after watching.
I know. But I want to say it because only you and I have seen it.
I'm just so pleased that the fact that this show got made. And again, if we don't get something like Andor ever again, that's fine. But the fact that they got to make this shows that like they have the ability to do it. And with such good critical word of mouth, it might not be, the highest watch show, but like a show like this doesn't need that, honestly. And the further we got into it, I'm like, this isn't for everyone. There are a certain group of people who like, they need more Star Wars in their Star Wars. And I get that. But like I come to entertainment for good stories, not lightsabers. You know what I mean? Like if it's a good story and there's no lightsabers, that's great. Some people don't feel that way.
And on a note of relevance, because it is like probably our very next Fake Nerds Watch experience is going to be Willow.
Yeah.
And it has me very intrigued with what Lucasfilm is giving us with Willow, because much to your point, that doesn't have to tell the same kind of beat story stuff as Andor, but it does look like the quality of thinking about story and character is there, at least based on the trailers. So I'm very intrigued if they're going to have a double hitter on their side of Andor and Willow.
Yeah, Willow does look high quality as shit. So yeah.
I really quickly, I found out the guy's name is Guy Henry.
Guy Henry.
He plays Tarkin in Rogue One, and Pious Thickness in Harry Potter. That the Hollis Part 1 and 2.
Pious Thickness?
Pious Thickness. He did not voice Tarkin in Rebels, interestingly. So anyway, he could do it. So pleased with the show. So happy with the show. I cannot believe it's going to end up on my top 10 of the year, but most likely will.
I am just pleasantly surprised. I've said it before. I'll say it again. When this show was announced, we thought, really? How are you going to do that? And then we watched it, just like what Sparks was saying earlier, Peacemaker. We're like, really? We don't know. Maybe a Peacemaker show could work. It just continues to prove to us that you have someone who cares about the project, someone who knows what they're doing. Anything can be good. Anything can be good. Case in Andor and Peacemaker, two of the best shows of the year, hands down. And this is such a good bookend. We started the year off with a fantastic Peacemaker show. We're ending the year with an amazing Star Wars show. The Star Wars show I feel like we need. And even I was talking to Fanny the other day when we were driving for Thanksgiving dinner. She was like, how come Andor is going to be on Hulu and everywhere? I was like, because Disney wants you to watch it. It is literally the best show on Disney as of this moment, and no one cares. Or we care, but and there are people who do care, of course, but there's not a lot of Casey casuals and casual Star Wars fans who are watching it.
You're right, because I had a friend I was talking to at the comic book store, and I said to him, are you watching Andor? And like the person behind the counter was like, oh, Andor's great. Andor's wonderful. Oh my God, Andor's incredible. And he's like, no, I have no interest in that. And it's like, well, you do. You just don't know that you do.
It's a very split difference. Like there are people who are totally tuned out of Andor, and there are people who are a little drained out from the previous offerings. But there are also people who have been checked out and thought that the Star Wars shows have not been doing it. And then Andor came out, and they're like, "Oh, this is art."
Yeah, I don't disparage anyone, because like for basically 3 years, I mean, obviously like Mandalorian is good, but like for 3 years we've gotten like mediocre Star Wars content. At least like in live action. In live action, yeah, like Rise of Skywalker, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, right? So like you're not hitting very well. So I get people not wanting to trust Andor, especially when it doesn't look like the Star Wars that you know. I get that. It's just a thing of like you got to give things a chance and you got to open your horizons, because like I never thought like Andor would be one of my favorite Star Wars things, and like it just goes to show like, man, just like put your heart in something. It's so nice. This is why I love doing the show. Like Brandon, you talked about it. Like I think last time we talked, like it's so nice to be able to talk for almost 2 hours about something you really love, and there's so much to chew on. When generally, like I remember us doing like Boba Fett weekly, and like I'm just like I don't know.
We just kind of kept bitching about it.
Yeah, and I'm just like I never want to do that. I want to love things, and like it's nice that like they let me love something.
That's why we dipped out on Boba Fett partway through. And we decided we're just going to do a season wrap up.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, that'll do it.
Hell yeah.
Andor, it's great. Watch it. It's amazing.
At this point, if you're watching this and you haven't seen Andor, why are you doing that?
You crazy
Fake nerd seal of approval all around.
So so that was Star Wars Andor season 1. We will be back with Star Wars Andor when the next season drops. Cannot wait. We are all very excited for it. And that wraps up Fake Nerds Watch for Star Wars Andor, but not Fake Nerds Watch for the rest of the year. Because as Sparks said, we will be attempting to do Willow. We do not know how we will do Willow yet, but it will be our next Fake Nerds Watch.
I mean, like I'll be upfront that like it's coming out late enough that we're kind of going to have to gauge that and see, because we know Brandon is out for a decent chunk of December. So whether it'll be Ben, Ryan, and I taking the wheels for the first
which
part,
is fine.
Or how we want to splice it up. Like Andor was very clear with its arcs, which made it easy to fit in with amongst everything else that was going on. Willow, with the holidays, we're going to have to figure out how we want to do that.
Do we know how many episodes? I'm going to look it up.
I don't know offhand.
But it's going to carry over into next year, so we're going to have to.
If if I need to miss, that's fine. I am excited for Willow, but I do not want to hold up anything.
It is 8 episodes with a 2-episode premiere. So maybe we do the first 2 and then gauge from there.
Yeah.
Sure, that works.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. So stay tuned for Willow. You just heard it here, folks. You heard our plan here. So stay tuned for Willow. As far as other Figures watches goes, Willow will probably be it until next year. At which time we'll continue to do other things with maybe Sandman.
Mando comes out in like
There's
February or something.
There's 2 Netflix shows, and because they drop all at once, it's very hard for us to get to. But like, there's 2 seasons of Netflix shows that I certainly want to check out, and if I find that we can talk about them, I would love to.
Yeah.
Sandman's one of them. The other one is Wednesday, which just came out.
You guys can do that.
Probably gonna start Wednesday. I hear great things.
Yeah, I want us to as well.
Okay, then
my goal
save it.
my goal was for us to end Midnight Club and start Wednesday this week.
If you guys want to do Wednesday, don't wait for me. Like I would like you guys to do that.
Yeah, like we'll pace that out how we can.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go. There's obviously more Fake Nerds watches on the horizon that we want to do, and we will attempt to do them as to the best of our abilities. But if you guys like this chat, and if you haven't seen the other chats of Star Wars Andor, hey, check out the link in the description and like this video, subscribe to this channel, check out the link in the description, click on anything here to get you to the other Andor episodes or any of our Star Wars episodes,
or the other things that we've done.
Or you can check out some of our other Star Wars shows like Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan.
If you want.
You can check out some of our Marvel stuff. We've covered a lot of the Disney Plus stuff, so you can check them out there. We talked about Peacemaker. We didn't do a Peacemaker Fake Nerds watch, did we?
Yes,
we did.
A final? Yeah. We did one.
I think we did a season thing.
Okay, we did. You're probably right. I forgot
because it came out right in the bridge of the holidays last year as well.
I definitely remember we talking about it. But
no, we did. We did it.
It was just like a 1-season special, I think.
Okay, well that's there. Check that out.
Yeah.
Of course, you can also check out Basement Arcade, which is our video game let's play series. Or you can check out Basement Arcade Pause Menu, which is our video game discussion series. A new episode is up now. Ben, you talked to someone, I'm sure.
I totally did.
And you can check out, of course, Animation Station and Fake Nerd Book Club, all shows you can find on this channel. Fake Nerd Podcast, that's our mothership show, guys. Our mothership show, we all come from the Fake Nerd Podcast, and everything trickles down from there. You can check out that show live every Sunday. Sparks, this is not going up tomorrow, correct?
Probably.
Okay. Well,
if YouTube lets me.
The latest episode of Fake Nerds Watch is probably up now by the time you're watching this, and it was not Slumberland. We did that 2 weeks ago. By the time you're watching this, it was what are we watching tomorrow? I just watched it. Strange Worlds. We're talking about Disney's Strange Worlds. We're not going to be talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. That episode we will be talking about that on a different special, so stay tuned for that as well. That might be up by the time you're watching this, or it might not be. But stay tuned. Click the bell icon, and you'll get notified by all the things that we do.
Taco Bell.
As far as Fake Nerd Podcast goes, there's not many episodes left of the season of the year. The year is coming quickly to an end, too quickly, if you ask me. And there's going to be a few more episodes left, and then we will be off on our holiday break until next year. So stay tuned.
I will say, we will be ending Fake Nerd Podcast and taking our break, but expect some other content. Pause Menu Quarterly.
I thought you said content for a second.
A Game of the Year discussion. All kinds of other things that we're going to kind of pad the time in there because we'll be releasing them in that holiday week.
Video games.
There's movies, perhaps a Glass Onion review, or a
couple of animation stations. Who could say?
A couple of animation stations. Oh, right. Got to do that. Forgot about that. All right, guys. So that'll do it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. If you want to support us, you can check out our Patreon. You can check out our TeePublic, which are linked below. You can check out our website, fakenerdpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to check out all the links to all the shows, all the links to all the things that we do, that is there. That is linked below. You'll find that. You can also find me on at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for Screen Rant, not for long. KaijuRamamedia.com and AtomicGeekdom.com. Did I put up anything this week? Probably. Who cares? Ben?
You can find me on the internet at BenMagnet27, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, and GoNintendo.com.
Sparks.
You can find me waking up early to fight these bastards at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Ryan.
You can find me just eagerly anticipating the next season of Cassie and Andor at DJ Tony Snark 616.
Some of the best performances I've seen from Stellan Skarsgård in the show.
So good.
You also
So
watched Chernobyl, my God. My God.
All right. That'll do it, guys. Stay till the next time you see us. Stay fake nerds.
Rix Road. Name's Bix. Connections? No.